Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike Bass back again with another forecast update for you for this June the 27th, 2023. I'm hoping everybody's having a great Tuesday out there so far. Hope everybody has a great Tuesday afternoon. Hope everybody continues to stay safe and well and also enjoy the weather because it's the only weather you got. Okay, in today's video, we're going to talk about the Watch This Morning advisory map for your location. Also, take a look at the weather radar across the nation as well. Storm Prediction Center outlook for today. Also for your Wednesday and Thursday, and also take a look at the Climate Prediction Center outlook on temperatures and precipitation over the next 8 to 14 days. Okay, if you're a new viewer and have not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Love to have you. Like these videos, share these videos, and let's go ahead and get the show on the road here, folks. Okay, as we start off in the Northeast, work our way around. We got flood watches in effect for portions of Maine, also in the portions of New Hampshire, and also in the Vermont, also down in portions of western New York State, also down to eastern Pennsylvania. Flood advisory is also in effect for eastern portions of New York State. Coastal flood advisory for portions of northeastern North Carolina. We got a severe thunderstorm warning ongoing there in eastern portion of Pennsylvania. Also, we have some air quality alerts down here in portion of the Atlanta metro area and surrounding areas. Also, we got more air quality alerts up here in Michigan, also in the Wisconsin, also in the Illinois, eastern Missouri, all of Iowa, and southern portion of Minnesota and eastern Minnesota. We got some special weather statements there also in effect for portions of central Illinois. So we got some flood watches up here in portions of Montana, also over here in portions of Washington State, also over here in the mountain range of California. Sets of heat watches also in effect for Central California and Southern California there as well. Air quality alerts down here in portions of southwestern Arizona. Red flag warnings also in effect for much of Arizona, also northwestern portions of New Mexico, eastern New Mexico, and western Colorado and southeastern Utah. Got a wind advisory there as well in eastern Utah. We got some excessive heat watches. And also heat advisories also in effect for portions southern portions of New Mexico. Heat advisory there as well, southeastern New Mexico as well. Also over here, excessive heat warnings also down here in portions of southeast Arizona. Excessive heat warnings also, like I said, southeastern portion of New Mexico, central portions of Texas, southeast Texas, eastern Texas, through southern Louisiana, southern portions of Mississippi, and portions of southern Alabama. Also, we have northern Florida, back to the Panhandle, Florida, southwestern Alabama, central and southern portions of Mississippi, also northern Louisiana, southern Louisiana, southern and central Oklahoma, northern Texas, southern portion of New Mexico, also down here in portions of southern Texas there as well. Severe thunderstorm watch has been posted with some ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings for Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma. Excessive heat watch is also in effect for northeast Arkansas, over towards southeast Missouri, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, central Tennessee as well, central and western Alabama, and northeastern and central portions of Mississippi. Alaska got a few special weather statements there. Got a few around the Hawaiian Chain Islands as well, with some gale warnings there in y'all's vicinity. Alright, weather radar time across the nation. As you can see, we got scattered showers and thunderstorms over the northeastern United States from southern Canada all the way through portions of Ohio down into West Virginia, some down in North Carolina, all the way back into portions of New York State, and also back into Maine, southeast Canada. Also in the coastal waters, got the showers and storms that came through last night. It brought some severe weather to the East Coast. It's continued to push on off into the Atlantic waters from the mid-Atlantic, northeast, mid-Atlantic, and southeastern United States. Got scattered activity over portions of the Bahamas, down there in Cuba, and over toward Puerto Rico. Southern Florida there as well. Got some scattered activity over Mississippi, portions of southern Alabama. Got a little cluster of showers and storms moving into portion of Arkansas, where you've seen that severe thunderstorm watch. Also scattered activity over Missouri, Oklahoma, back into New Mexico, through Kansas and Nebraska, and South Dakota. all the way up into North Dakota, also in the portion of northwest Minnesota, southern Canada there as well. Scattered activity over Montana, back to Washington and Oregon State, also into Idaho, also in the portion of Nevada, back into portion of Wyoming as well. Scattered activity around the Guam area, also central and south Alaska, got a few scattered showers there, and also some scattered showers on the south side of the Hawaiian chain island as well. Alright, storm prediction center time for today. As you can see, we have a general thunderstorm for the northeast, from Maine all the way down to a portion of West Virginia, also into a portion of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Marginal risk from the Outer Banks of North Carolina all the way into New York State. General thunderstorm from the Florida Keys through Florida, all the way back into Alabama, back to Missouri, back to Minnesota. Also portion of Oklahoma, back into portions of New Mexico, all the way back to Nevada and California, and also into Oregon and Washington State, also into Montana. We have a marginal risk from North Dakota, South Dakota, all the way down to the Panhandle of Texas, also down in Louisiana. We have a slight risk of severe weather from Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way back into Oklahoma. Also again over here in portions of Nebraska, back into North Dakota. We have an enhanced risk over here in South Dakota, back down into portions of Nebraska. Also over here in Oklahoma, Kansas, into portions of that's southwest Missouri and northwestern Arkansas. Okay, Dodge City, you're in a moderate risk. Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Springdale, Arkansas, Joplin, Missouri, enhanced risk. Little Rock, Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Fort Smith, Arkansas, Rapid City, South Dakota. You're in a slight risk. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Memphis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New Orleans, Louisiana. You are in a marginal risk. Tornado risk for today, 2% in the green, which includes Wichita, Kansas, in Oklahoma, Garden City, Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, Ponca City, Oklahoma. That's the 2% risk area. Damaging winds. Okay, 5% in the brown, 15% in the yellow, and 45% in the purple, and 30% in the red. The significant severe weather. This will include Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Springdale, Arkansas. Dodge City, you're in the 45% risk. Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Springdale, Arkansas, and Joplin, Missouri, you're in the 30%. Little Rock, Arkansas, Springfield, Missouri, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, Fort Smith, Arkansas, North Little Rock, Arkansas, 15% category. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Memphis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New Orleans, Louisiana. You're in the 5% category for damaging winds over 60 miles per hour. Alright, hail probability, 5% in the brown, 15% in the yellow areas, 30% in the red. The significant severe weather for large hail will be in the slashed areas. This will include Garden City, Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, North Platte, Nebraska, Liberal, Kansas, and Guyman, Oklahoma. That's a significant severe hail risk. Garden City, Kansas, Dodge City, Kansas, North Platte, Nebraska, and Liberal, Kansas. You're in the 30% risk. Rapid City, South Dakota, Edna, Oklahoma, Canary, Nebraska, Pochacana City, Oklahoma, and Derby, Kansas. 15% risk area. New Orleans, Louisiana, Omaha, Nebraska, Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, Wichita, Kansas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You are in the 5% category for large hail. Alright, here's a look at day 2 outlook. This is your Wednesday outlook. We still have general thunderstorm from Maine down into portions of eastern Pennsylvania, around the Philadelphia area, from the Florida Keys through Florida, all the way to Louisiana, back into portions of North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Michigan, all the way back into portions of Oregon and Washington State, back into California, Nevada, and Utah, and back into portions of Arizona and New Mexico. Marginal risk over portions of Wyoming, back into Nebraska, also into Kansas, Mississippi, back into Arkansas, also up here in Illinois, back into Minnesota. We have a slight risk there in Minnesota and portions of Wisconsin. If you're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota, Bloomington, Minnesota, and Plymouth, Minnesota, you're under a slight risk for severe thunderstorm. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, Memphis, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, Des Moines, Iowa, you're in the marginal risk for severe weather on Wednesday. Tornado probability, 2% in Wisconsin, also in Minnesota and Iowa. Sorry about that, folks. My information still is updating information. Also, there it is, 2% in Nebraska and Wyoming. Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota, Bloomington, Minnesota, Plymouth, Minnesota. That's 2% in tornado risk area. Winds, 5% in the Brown, Mississippi, and Arkansas. Over here in Indiana to Minnesota, 15% in Minnesota and Wisconsin, 5% Nebraska and Kansas. Also over in Wyoming. And if you're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota, Bloomington, Minnesota, and Plymouth, Minnesota, 15% risk area. Chicago, Illinois, Memphis, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, and Des Moines, Iowa, 5% risk for your area there for damaging winds. Take a look at the hail probability, 5% in the same areas, 15% up here in Minnesota. Large hail would be, significant area would be Minneapolis, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, Rochester, Minnesota, Bloomington, Minnesota, and Plymouth, Minnesota. You're in the significant severe hail and the 15% risk. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, Memphis, Tennessee, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin, and Des Moines, Iowa, you're in the 5% risk for large hail. All right, moving on to day number 3. This will be, all right, general thunderstorm from up here in Maine all the way into portion of New York State. Also all the way into portion of western New York down into the Carolinas, all the way back into Mississippi and Alabama, all the way back into portion of New Mexico, back into portion of California and also Nevada, portion of Washington State through Idaho, back to Minnesota, North Dakota to Kansas, marginal risk in Nebraska, portion of Kansas and Wyoming, and also Colorado, also over here in Michigan, down into portions of Kentucky. Slight risk in the yellow there, mainly over portions of Illinois. Let's see, Chicago, Illinois, Royal, Illinois, Rockville, Illinois, Napa, Illinois, and Joliet, Illinois. Slight risk. You're in the slight risk area. Detroit, Michigan, Indianapolis, Indiana, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Denver, Colorado, Toledo, Ohio. You're in the marginal risk for severe weather. Probabilities, 5% in the brown, 15 in the yellow. This is Chicago, Illinois, Royal, Illinois, Rockville, Illinois, Napa, Illinois, and Joliet, Illinois. 15% risk for severe weather. Detroit, Michigan, all the way to Toledo, Ohio, including Denver, Colorado, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Indianapolis, Indiana. You're in the 5% risk for severe weather for your Thursday. All right, now it's time to wrap it up with the Climate Prediction Center outlook. This is the 8 to 14-day to the nation from well above normal in the northeast to all the way down into portion of Pennsylvania, all the way down into Florida, even over here into Texas, well above normal temperatures over here in Arizona and New Mexico, and also well above normal temperatures expected all the way into Washington, Oregon states, also in Idaho. We got near normal temperatures right on the coastal areas of California. Also near normal temperatures in portions of the plains in the upper Midwest. Also below normal temperatures will follow in portions of Colorado all the way into Montana, including Wyoming area as well. Near normal temperatures expected through the Carolinas, through Virginia, all the way back into Kentucky and Tennessee, and northern Alabama and northern Georgia. All right, Alaska near normal temperatures on the north side, below normal for the remainder of Alaska. Precipitation over the next 8 to 14 days, pretty well above normal all the way down into Louisiana. Well above normal precipitation from Texas all the way into portions of Tennessee and Kentucky, back over to Kansas and Oklahoma, also over in portions of West Texas, all the way back in the let's see, Idaho, that is, and also Montana, above normal precipitation over Wyoming, southern Montana, and below normal precipitation from West Texas. That's near normal precipitation, that is, like I said, from West Texas all the way to Washington State, also in portions of California. Below normal precipitation from Arizona back into northern California and western Oregon and western Washington State. Above normal precipitation over much of Alaska, near normal to the southeast. Okay, well, I hope everybody enjoyed this weather forecast. Hope everybody continue to stay safe and well. Enjoy the weather, because it's the only weather you got. Like these videos, share these videos, consider subscribing, and we'll catch you back in the next one.